Welcome to Proline, everyone. I'm John Cranton, joined by Jeff Saad of Las Vegas Sports Services and Chip Chirimbes, the big game winner. Got a couple of NBA games out west to talk about, the Clippers, Suns, and then Friday night's game, the Lakers are playing the Spurs, and another big game of top four teams. Also got some NBA news, notes, and trends, or baseball news, notes, and trends to go over. First, we have some ads and offers that we have going this week. Dave Koken isn't joining us, but last week he hit his NBA Game of the Year that we told you about. That was the Atlanta Hawks crushing the Magic 109-81. This Friday night he has his Western Conference Game of the Year. That's for $15, plus you get a week of baseball with it. And if you sign up on Thursday, you'll get a high roller window release, a $500 value. All of this for $15, 1-866-841-1665. Chip Chirimbes is joining us, the big game player. Chip, you could also be called the Megabucks man, as those high roller Megabucks plays have been red hot for several months. What do you have on tap?
All right, still rolling at 64% with the Megabuck winners, and I have a tremendous TV Blitz package for everyone out there. Get the Thursday night nationally televised contest between Miami and the Chicago Bulls, the Red Sox and the Yankees over the weekend, and every Megabuck release I have through the next 5 days for only $20. It's an incredible offer. These Megabucks are going from anywhere from $400 to $500 a day, and you're going to get 5 days of action. All TV Blitz winners from Chip Chirimbes at 866-899-9462. 866-899-9462. Get it all from the big game player. Only $20. My TV Blitz winners. And when you call, say, I want Chipper's TV winners. 866-899-9462.
Well, I like a lot of action, Chip, as do all the players, not only at the sports book, but other places. Jeff Saad is also joining us from Las Vegas Sports Services. Jeff, what do you have on tap for everyone?
Well, last night I was 6-0, 3-0 in NBA, 3-0 in baseball. Wow. The NBA had the Bulls, the Heat, and the Jazz. Baseball, Marlins, Cardinals, and the Rangers. So I'm red hot. I'm going to have my NBA Revenge Game of the Year tonight. It's Thursday night, plus 7 days of NBA and baseball, all for a grand total of $10. Just call LVSS at 1-866-896-1629. Get a week of NBA and baseball, plus my NBA Revenge Game of the Year on Thursday night, all for $10. 1-866-896-1629.
Yeah, Jeff's had a great week since Sunday, a 15-6 run on all plays, and Jim Feist has, if you want to get a week of Jim's plays for just $7, $7 for 7 days of plays. It's going to include Friday's NBA TV Game of the Month. Jim is 17-9 on the entire season with NBA Games of the Month. That included last week's NBA Dog of the Month. That was the Utah Jazz, a straight-up winner at Houston. Plus, if you call Thursday, you get a high roller baseball release. All this 7 days for $7, 1-866-841-1655. All right, guys, we got NBA going on Thursday. Clippers at Suns. Interesting game. Let's set the scene here. You've got a LA Clippers team that's currently the number 4 seed in the West, and yet they're only a half game behind the Lakers, so they could actually move up. Number 4 is still a good slot to be because you get home court. They're playing extremely well, like they are ready for the playoffs. A nice 13-2 run straight up, 11-4 against the spread. And they get the Phoenix Suns. They are currently a half game out of the all-important number 8 seed, trailing the Utah Jazz, who are in the playoffs as of now. But right behind it, a half a game, is the Phoenix Suns and the Houston Rockets. So both teams are motivated and playing well. The last 11 games, Phoenix 7-4 straight up and against the spread run. Jeff, who has the edge in this game, and who needs it more?
Well, the Suns need it more because they're battling for a spot, period, where the Clippers are already in the playoffs. The Suns lost last night to the Thunder. They're now tied for 9th place in the Western Conference, so they can't afford many more losses. The last time these teams met, the Clippers won 107-86 on March 28th. The Suns only shot 37% from the field. Before that, Phoenix won and covered 4 in a row between these two teams. Clippers have won 5 in a row, 13 of the last 15. They're 2 games ahead of Memphis for the 4th seed, and the Suns are 11-3 against the spread the last 14 home games. This is not a service play for me. It's a tough game tonight, but if I had to make a prediction here, I would take the more desperate team and go with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, the LA Clippers I don't know if this team is going to be good for a long-term playoff run. A lot of good young talent, nice depth, but boy, that defense continues to disappoint. They're not a good three-point shooting team, and that's a big reason why they're not a good road team, roughly 500 on the road. Did have that impressive win, though, at Denver last night, 104-98, nailing a ridiculous 14 of 24 three-pointers. So when they're on from long range, Chip, they can beat anybody, but can they win in a 3-4 situation against a desperate Phoenix team tonight?
John, this is a great matchup. This is one I spoke of earlier. The fact that both teams are in need. There's some great trends revolving around this game. And I understand Jeff being a little hesitant because of the situation. But I really have a side in this game. It's one of my strongest sides of the entire week. And it's part of my package, John. If you give me a call at 866-899-9462, the Suns and the Clippers are my lead play. They're my megabuck play today. That'll be part of my TV Blitz package, along with, of course, the Bulls and the Miami Heat. So give me a call, 866-899-9462. This is my megabuck release today. You're going to have to either log on or give me a call to get it.
Okay, the Phoenix Suns off of a very difficult game last night. It was another must-win for them, and they lost at home 109-97 to that powerhouse Oklahoma City team. Very tough defeat. 5 bench players played over 14 minutes in that game, and Steve Nash only limited to 28 minutes, so they might be freshed for this game. Also keep in mind that Grant Hill did not play last night. He missed his second straight game with a knee injury. One thing I like to look at is totals, and you look at the philosophies of both these teams. Even though the Suns are a veteran team, they're clearly up-tempo with Steve Nash running the attack. And the Clippers, with all that youth and athleticism, they love to run the court. And yet, when these teams meet this season, games are much lower scoring than the odds makers expect. They last played on March 28th. Clippers won 103-86. That one under the total of 194. And the Suns won the previous game 91-87 on this court. Actually, the Clippers won that game as a +9 dog. Again, way under the total. The under is a perfect 5-0. And look what's happened with the money movement in this game. Suns, 2-point favorite. That hasn't moved, but the total was 198.5 last night. That has been bet down to 196. So that's the way the general public is looking at this one. Probably less scoring than odds makers expect. And that wouldn't be surprising either, as both teams have some momentum to need this game and motivation. And that's like a playoff game. You see a lot of defense come up this time of the year. Okay, guys, we also have some baseball going on. And in the American League, Texas and Detroit, they're just already running away with it like they expected. But, Chip, in the American League East, the teams that we're rooting for, it's been a disaster for the Red Sox pitching staff and even the Yankees not playing so well. Are these teams going to turn it around?
Well, I think the Yankees may have a better chance of turning around. Jeter's off to a fantastic start. Their power is going to come as the season moves along. But I really have concerns about the Red Sox, John. My buddy Bobby Valentine there, the other night, with Lester on the mound, they had the bases loaded, a pop up the shortstop. The left fielder calls him off and drops the ball. This team just doesn't play. I understand Youkilis came to camp overweight and actually with a chip on his shoulder. He already had an attitude and a decision about Valentine taking over. So there's problems in Boston right now, and I don't know, with their weakened pitching, their closers are out. They've lost Matsuzaki, and they just don't seem to get the hitting done. Crawford's been a major disappointment. Jacoby's gone. I think the Red Sox might not get there this year, whereas I can see the Yankees with Andy Pettitte being added on and the depth that they have, they probably can get into the playoffs. But I'm really beginning to wonder about the Red Sox. And last year, John, remember, and Jeff, we said this team was going to be the most dominant team in baseball. They got off to a worse start, and then from May until August, they had the best record by far in baseball, and then they just folded like an accordion. I don't know what the future is for the Red Sox, but I don't think it looks good for them or my buddy Bobby Valentine.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah, you're right.
Thought this team.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, yeah, the Red Sox, whenever you have the hint of dissension in the clubhouse, it kind of never goes away. And that's besides their awful pitching, especially relief pitching, things don't look good for the Red Sox right now. I'm not really worried about the Yankees. I still think the Yankees will win the division. But although they might regret not re-signing Bartolo Colon, last night Colon threw 38 consecutive strikes against the Angels. I never heard of that before. And before the show, John, you said that Tim Wakefield, a knuckleball pitcher, threw 30 straight one time, which is even more unbelievable. But as far as we saw, I still the Yankees will win. The Baltimore has the last few years they've been great in April and September, terrible in between. You can never count out Tampa Bay after what they did last season. And Toronto's up and coming, but I still think the Yankees will win this division.
I want to chime in here. I was going to ask you guys, have you ever heard of anything like that before? I mean, the guy throwing that many strikes. I've never heard of it before. I didn't know there was a stat like that, but that's really incredible regardless.
And what makes it, and the only thing more incredible is the fact that Tim Wakefield threw 30 strikes in a row. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was 1998 against
Cleveland. How Wakefield ended?
They've been only keeping that stat for 30 years. Go ahead.
Wow. Yeah. I was going to say how Wakefield ended up being signed. He was a first baseman in the minors, and he used to throw the knuckleball in the air to the outfielders and challenge them to catch it. And then, he wasn't the hitter that they needed him to be, and that's how he ended up being a knuckleballer. And I'll tell you what, he was pretty effective for a long time.
Yes.
He sure was. Yeah, he had the game in 1998 against Cleveland, 30 straight strikes, which is just astounding. That Cologne, I think what Wakefield did was even more astounding. As for the Sox, this is the 100th anniversary of the Titanic going down. The Luxor right down the street has them. I'm already abandoning ship on the Red Sox. Okay, forget it. They're a 500 team at best. I don't want any part of them. The thing that's really disappointing though is their pitching was bad last year, below average, and that was the problem. They are dead last now in the American League in team ERA. I don't see the depth being there, even with Matsuzaka coming back. Maybe the end of May, but he's off an injury. You don't know how good he's going to be. So this is going to be a colossal, disappointing season. The only thing with the Yankees, though, they're 15th or actually 22nd in the AL in pitching, and they lost Cologne. So I don't know if their pitching is going to be as deep as we thought, enough to carry them to this division, especially against a team like Tampa Bay, and that's all they have is terrific young arms.
Yeah. Well, Hughes has got to come along. He's not finding the strike zone. He's missing up. His ERA is 9.0. He's going to be a key factor in my mind, and who knows, maybe they're going to end up banishing him back to the bullpen when Pettit comes back.
Over the National League, Jeff, do you see any teams in the National League that have surprised early on and may be there for the long haul?
Well, the Washington Nationals, obviously, they're 10-3, and they have a tremendous starting pitching. Jordan Zimmerman and Steven Strasburg already have had Tommy John surgery, so they got that out of the way. This year, the starters have only allowed 15 earned runs in 13 starts. Gio Gonzalez, 4 earned runs all season long. Edwin Jackson's always been a decent pitcher, but he's even better in the National League. So I think the Nationals stay in it the whole season.
I'd have to agree with you, Jeff, and pitching is part of the key, and I'm looking for a big bounce-back season from Jason Worth after the horrible year he had last year. And, they've added the pieces every year, piece by piece, and like you said, their pitching staff is really getting the job done.
Yeah, one thing I like about Washington, I like to play totals in baseball. That park in Washington, very big, a great pitcher's park. And notice that the Nationals, they're on a 22-8 run under the total. That goes back to last year. And then at home this season, 7-2 under the total. If that pitching keeps up and an offense that isn't quite as good as some of the other teams in the National League, I wouldn't be surprised to see that trend continue all season long. Okay, in the NBA game on Friday night, another interesting game is the Lakers are playing at the Spurs, possible playoff preview. Teams with older veterans in this matchup. And what's amazing is since 1999, these teams have 10 NBA championships, 5 apiece, and they certainly have the talent to possibly make another playoff run. Chip, how do you see this game? Is this a revenge game on tap, or is it the old veterans or just break it down to home court?
It is certainly a revenge situation. But like I said before, the Lakers seem to be doing fairly well without Kobe Bryant. Andrew Bynum seems to be thriving now. But, this San Antonio team, every year I get more and more surprised about the effectiveness, and they think they're even better this year than they were last year. And I thought last year they were done age-wise. They did get bounced in the playoffs, of course, but, right now, I think the Spurs are fundamentally sound, well-balanced, and just an overall better club.
Yeah, for the Lakers, you have a situation where great at home under their new coach, and they were always a good road team under Phil Jackson. That's not the case this year. They have a losing record, and I often wonder about their bench, too. When they lost to the Phoenix Suns, the bench outscored them 52-10. Jeff, do you think the Lakers want this game? Do you think they want to hold on to that number 3 seed, or do the Spurs want it more?
Well, this is one of those. First, the Lakers blew out the Spurs in San Antonio. The Spurs came back and blew out the Lakers in LA, and now we have another revenge game on Friday. Last night, the Spurs beat the Kings, and the bench outscored the Kings 71-28. Tim Duncan didn't even play last night, which means he'll definitely play on Friday. The Lakers have won 3 of the last 4 meetings, but it's hard to. Right now, I don't have a line on it, and we still don't know about Kobe, although he probably won't play it. So it's tough to pick this game, but. If I had to choose here, I would lean toward the Lakers playing at home here with another revenge situation. But as you said about the Spurs, what a great job, but what a great coach Greg Popovich is. He just year in, year out, they reload, and it doesn't make any difference. They always come out and have a competitive team. And I think Popovich is probably one of the best coaches of all time in the NBA.
Yeah, I've always felt that revenge in pro sports is somewhat overrated. It's something that odds makers take into account when they set the number. But in pro football and in pro basketball, to me, revenge isn't that big a deal. I don't make too much of it. It's when there's something alongside revenge, such as, a player who got injured or a team that got humiliated. I mean, we saw it in the NHL this week. The Chicago Blackhawks lost a player. Now, there's a game had they lost, and then the next game you've lost one of your best players who was taken off the ice on a stretcher. Also happened in the Stanley Cup Finals last year when Nathan Horton and the Bruins got smacked around, got taken off the ice in Game 3. Well, at that point, Vancouver was up 2-0. And from that moment on, the Bruins played like a very different team. They ended up winning 4 of the next 5 games. I think it was a combination of revenge and the injury that severely motivated that club. However, note that when the Spurs beat the Lakers last week, Tony Parker mentioned that the coach Popovich didn't say anything about them losing to the Lakers the previous week. That was the game when Bynum had a ridiculous 30 rebounds, and the whole NBA was talking about it. But Parker pointed out the players, we were embarrassed and disappointed in ourselves, and we had a bit of a chip on our shoulder. So there are times when you've got revenge and embarrassment or injuries that I think are certainly worth looking at.
Right, there's nothing automatic about revenge plays, but when there are extenuating circumstances, then it could be a major factor.
Yeah, I would lean toward the home team in this one. The Spurs are motivated. They're in that tight battle with Oklahoma City. Got to believe they're going to be up for this game. Lakers haven't really been particularly impressive on the road all season, plus Kobe Bryant. We don't know his situation. And a lot of teams are just resting key guys down the stretch. I wouldn't be surprised if Kobe takes that game off or doesn't play the normal amount of minutes for that one as they focus more on the playoffs. Okay, guys, we have let's run through the offers again. Chip, what do you have for everybody on tap?
All right, I got the TV blitz for everyone, starting with Thursday night with the Bulls and the Heat. We're going to get both Red Sox Yankee games over the weekend, and, of course, all my Megabuck plays for the next 5 days for only $20. The Megabuck plays are worth hundreds by themselves, and tonight's Megabuck winner is a big one between the Clippers and the Suns. So just get with it by calling 866-899-9462. Say Chips TV winners, and you'll get the package for only $20. 866-899-9462. Our Megabuck plays are still hitting at 64% over the last 92 releases. Not bad at all. So give me a call, 866-899-9462. You'll be glad you did.
And Jeff Saad of Las Vegas Sports Services on a 15-6 run this week on all plays. Jeff, how do people get in touch with you if they want to jump on board that hot streak?
Well, just call LVSS at 1-866-896-1629. You get my NBA Revenge Game of the Year, plus 7 days of baseball and NBA. Last night on Wednesday night, I was 6-0. You're going to get the Revenge Game of the Year, plus a week of NBA and baseball, all for a total of just $10. Call 1-866-896-1629.
All right, that'll do it for this week's show. Guys, good luck with the games all weekend long, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, gang. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.